In today's video, we unbox our second stash of discount expansion boxes for Runewars, a miniatures game of epic battles in an age of heroes. Well, hi folks, welcome to the channel. This is Lee from skirmishwargames.com, and this is the second installment of our great Runewars discount miniatures unboxing. If you watched the first video we did, we got into the Runewars core set as well as some expansions for the Reanimate faction, and then some Elves, and I think one box of Berserkers. Well, today we're going to go ahead and look at the Untitled army expansion box. These guys are kind of like, I guess, the Chaos faction, Mutant faction, whatever. I don't know exactly what they refer to it as in the Runewars system, but that's what they look like. And then we got a couple of expansion boxes for this faction and a couple more boxes of Elves. So as I mentioned in the first video, you can still buy brand new Runewars box sets from the Fantasy Flight Games web store and from other retailers, though prices do tend to be all over the place. So we bought this whole pile here for about $80 on Amazon, and that's about half of the original MSRP. We kind of choose these things based on whether we think we can use them for other stuff. I don't know if we'll actually ever play Runewars, but a lot of this stuff looks like it has a lot of utility in some of the other games we like to play. So let's go ahead and crack it open and take a look and see how we did here.
Pull the expansions to the side for now. Start with the base.
We'll focus on the, if I'm pronouncing it right, the Untitled army expansion. Game set in the Runebound universe from Fantasy Flight Games. So this came out around 2017. Comes with 22 plastic figures, 8 movement trays, 4 command tools. That's the little dials they have here to kind of determine the actions and the modifiers for each unit. And then 2 terrain cards, 1 deployment card, objective card, 12 upgrade cards, 2 terrain pieces, 27 assorted tokens, and a rules booklet.
Looks like they learned from the first time. You can tell better what's in it.
Right. If you remember from the first video, we flipped over the core box, and there was really no information on the back. It was just more art, and they only had a little blurb kind of on the side. Well, here, somebody must have said something, because you can really see what's in the box, what faction you're going to get, and what the minis look like, and all that stuff. So no mystery. Now, you could have figured it out from the core set, but you kind of had to search for it, and it wasn't really that detailed. So anyway, let's take a look at what the Untitled, if I'm pronouncing that right, has to offer. Little FFG catalog there. Would you peel that off, please? Thank you. So, as with the previous expansions that we looked at, the figure assembly is pretty simple. A lot of these guys just have a couple of pieces, maybe three or four, and that's it. So, no sprues really, no intensive modeling. Just clean them up a little bit, glue them together, give them some paint, and you're good to go. So, that's a little bit different philosophy than some of the other game companies out there, but that's what they decided to do. And yeah, frankly, I do too. I don't mind a little modeling, but I don't want to get down to every little toe bone on a skeleton when it comes to that. So that works for me. Okay, let's take a look at our cards here. So these cards will kind of indicate what sort of units we're looking at. We got Berserkers. We opened up an expansion pack of Berserkers in the first video. Flesh Rippers. That looked like some kind of a Chaos Hound. Ravos the Ever Hungry. You know, I picked on FFG a little bit in the last video about maybe picking up on some themes that might be familiar from other games, but frankly, there's nothing new under the sun, and everybody borrows something from literature or movies or comic books or some sort of trope that's been around for a while. So, you know, he's pretty cool. He does look a little bit like a Nurgle Khorne hybrid, but that's fine, you know? Bring it on. And these are some of the game cards that, I guess, what are these? Like special ability cards, War Crier, that come with the expansion. And then, presumably, we don't really know, but presumably you could add that to your deck.
These might be the upgrade cards.
Upgrade cards. Okay, let's see what we got here. These guys must be our Berserkers. And we already looked at some of these from the last video. As you can see, they fit together pretty easily. We probably need a little bit of cleanup. The plastic is not the hard plastic you might be familiar with from Games Workshop, but it's not really soft plastic like with a game token or something like that either. So sort of in the middle and pretty clean. I mean, you always want to clean up a little bit, but the sculpts look good and the models aren't all mold lines and, you know, flash. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, and a pretty dynamic pose, and certainly, you know, any game where you need some crazy chaos berserkers or some sort of a demonic force, that guy would fit right in. So okay, next we got some flesh rippers. This guy just needed his head attached. I'm not sure why they even make you stick on a head, maybe just so you get some sense that you're assembling a model as opposed to it just being a game piece. But if they were a little smaller, I'd use them for some kind of a chaos hound, but they're a little bit bigger, so some kind of a war beast, some kind of a demonic war beast. Spined threshers. And I guess we just get one of these guys. You want to put him together for a minute? And I'll get on.
Here's the other bags of the Berserkers.
Okay. So we got a couple more bags of Berserkers, 3 more bags of Berserkers. I won't bother assembling those. They're pretty much the same. But that's a lot of troops. That's a lot of demonic mutant chaos troops. And then this is kind of the leader of the gang. This is Ravos the Ever-Hungry. There he is. You can kind of have him assembled in about 3 minutes, I think. He's a big one. And this is the
Spined Thresher.
The Spined Thresher.
He had the most pieces, I think, of all of them.
Yeah. So he required the most assembly, and that was probably 4 minutes. I guess that is our Uthoculan faction box. So we got some Berserkers, we got a Spine Thresher, we got a big baddie, and then what else did we get? Oh, those hounds. And then here is the combat dials, and then some 2D terrain. Fire doesn't have to be 3D. That could be a burning log of some type, and some kind of a little structure. Yeah, there's a wagon.
And then, of course, our trays.
Yeah, and then you got the movement trays. As we mentioned in the last video, this game uses movement trays, and they're designed to kind of slot together, so... Alright. I didn't mention it before, but the Uthoculan faction box was 26 bucks when we bought it. The Flesh Rippers here, this expansion is $13, and this Infantry Command is $12.08. So not that expensive, and I think originally and still in some places the faction box was like 60 bucks, and the expansions were like 25 bucks a piece. So for the price that we paid for it, I think it's worth it. I mean, I like the figures. If I didn't like the figures, or if they were a bunch of garbage, that would be one thing, but I think they're pretty usable. So here's the Flesh Rippers. We already kind of took a look at those. We don't need to open those up again, but that's going to be our demonic hounds, our monsters, our chaos fiends, or whatever.
And that gives us another 4.
Yeah, so we got another 4 there. And then we have the Infantry Command. And these guys look pretty cool. So
they do look pretty cool. That one guy's got a huge arm.
This guy here, can you see him? He's, yeah, he's been eating his Wheaties. He's been working out, but he needs to balance out both arms. And again, these boxes are mostly air, so I'm sure they want to have a certain amount of visual real estate on the store shelf. And it looks good, but inside, not really much. As with the others, the assembly is pretty simple. Really not much to it. And here's some more cards that we get. Here's our command group. All these guys need a little glue to hold them together, but you can kind of stick them in place long enough to show a picture. Yeah, that is our 12 bucks worth of mutant slash chaos slash demon slash possessed figures for whatever scary miniatures game you happen to be playing. And finally, because we didn't really have a lot of elves in inventory, we thought we might like to have some little elf skirmishers at some point. We got the Elves command group and these funny warriors here who have swords that are taller than they are. So I'm not sure how that works, but maybe they're lightweight. Maybe they have some kind of elvish magic which allows them to wield an 8-foot sword. We got this here was like $11, and I think this box of warriors was like $15. But let's go ahead and open up the command group and see what we got there. And then we'll open up these warriors and take a look.
I definitely like the Infantry Command. They've got some really cool figures in that one.
Yeah. Elves Infantry Command. Simple assembly instructions. Movement tray. Tokens. Cards. More of the battle cards, or whatever they call those. And here's our elves. This is the Elf command group.
Don't need much assembly.
Nope. Pretty simple to assemble, and they look fairly clean. Little cleanup's always a good idea. There's a musician. That could be a sorceress. And then standard bearer. All right, that is the Elves command group. And finally, we'll take a look at these Darnati warriors. So what did we get? 8 plastic figures. Again, this was about $15, so that's not too bad. The swords are obscenely large, but yeah, that's all right. I guess
Elves have magical metals.
That's right. And I guess if you're going to suspend your disbelief and have, like in the last one, some guy riding a giant worm into battle, then an oversized sword isn't that bad. So there's the command tool, the command dials, and unit cards, and special cards, triumphant cry, lay of the land, moment of inspiration. And there's the figures themselves. You need to glue all these guys. Some of them we can snap together long enough to show you a picture of, and some of them are going to need a little more coaxing. But that is essentially the elves with the two-handed swords. These guys look kind of spiritual. These are warrior mystics with their giant swords. Going to carve a swath through the enemy. So that is the Darnati Warriors unit expansion for Runewars, and it's nice that they come in circular bases that slot into the movement trays so that you can use them for a larger scale type war game with troop formations, or, as we're probably going to do, use them individually or in small units for a more skirmishy type war game. All right, let's take stock of how we did. So we got 8 of these guys, 4 of these guys, so that's 12. This command group was another 4, so that's 16, 20, and then in the big box, there's another 22 figures in the big box. So what's that, 42 altogether for about $80? That's not too bad. Not as economical as the first video where we got them down to about $1 a miniature, but still pretty cool. And the reason I bought these was I like the figures. I like having some of these scary mutants. These flesh rippers are pretty cool. And of course, you can always use some generic elves, you know, in the mix. What'd you think, Lynn? Which ones are you going to paint first out of this batch?
The elves.
The elves. Are you going to steal the Infantry Command group?
I am.
Okay. Well, folks, that is round 2 of our great Runewars discount miniatures unboxing. I think I'm pretty happy with what we got here. You never quite know what you're going to get, and I guess I was assuming there would be boxes and boxes of sprues. There were no sprues. These guys were mostly assembled, and so we just need to kind of piece them together and clean them up and give them a coat of paint, and they should be ready to go. So, yeah, I am not unhappy with the results. Well, folks, thanks very much for watching. If everything went as planned, you should be watching this on skirmishwargames.com. And in the months ahead, we plan to be producing more website-exclusive videos that you can watch for free right here, in addition to everything we have on the YouTube channel and all of our social media. So thanks very much for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed this, and keep an eye out for new exclusive videos in the months and weeks ahead.